Hello everyone, it's Merc once again with another behind-the-scenes featurette, as it were. This time our subject is none other than the leading lady herself. My main heroine of the Courier Cat saga, the one, the only, Kashikoi. Or just Kashi for short. No, not the cereal. So, one of the questions I usually get about Kashikoi is how exactly did I come up with her? Which is a very fair question. Well, the answer is actually twofold. First part to that is obviously there's things in my own life, my own experiences that went towards the character, but there's also another part to that. And the other part was she was created primarily because I had reached a certain milestone back on DeviantArt, and to celebrate that milestone, I had opened up a journal asking my watchers to contribute ideas into making a new character. They would all pitch in ideas for this character, and it would be up to me to make a story about this character. Lots of people chimed in, and eventually we got Kashikoi. And so those responses to that question were she had to be a Neko, a Kiminami, one of those type characters, which I was pleased with because I had some full anthro characters and I had some human characters, but I didn't have any characters that just had animal ears and tails. So that was a bit different but similar to having an anthro character, and I was really excited about that. So I was definitely looking forward to working with a Neko character, because most of the Neko characters I saw were always fitting into a certain mold, and Kashikoi certainly did not fit that mold. In some aspects, she does fit the typical anime Neko character, like for example having her make those "nya" noises like most Nekos do in anime. I couldn't resist. It was just too adorable not to use for Kashikoi. And other examples on how she differs, I think she's a little bit more badass than your typical Neko in a manga or anime. But I digress from that, because I'm sure there are certainly examples that I am not realizing are out there. But it's just my own personal view on Nekos and such media. So anyways, back to the things that made her her. A lot of the examples were her job, which ended up being a courier, the setting of this post-apocalyptic world with the floating islands, and her obsession with chocolate. That was such a good pick for the user who suggested that. I have had so much fun with her chocolate obsession and making chocolate just such a rare commodity in this post-apocalyptic world. So that is definitely something I am glad someone came up with. The other details of being her weapon, being the Omni gun, which could transform from pistol to carbine, her mysterious necklace that has some kind of substance in it. They left it right at that, just a mysterious substance. It was up to me to decide what, if any, bearing that would have on a story. And so I used it to be a healing item. Other suggestions, such as her personality, really turned out to be quite interesting. Someone had suggested her personality be a little bit detached from reality, really upbeat and peppy despite the setting being such a post-apocalypse. And I used it because it was such a fun contrast, but over the years, as I've written for Kashikoi, I've found that she really does seem to resemble my wife's personality. So I have a real-life example living with me to always remind me of that character, and I find that's really awesome. So I'm never not going to know how Kashikoi would react to a situation. And so as I wrote more for Kashikoi and expanded upon her, a lot of the suggestions really did begin to grow into her own thing. They just moved on beyond what someone had suggested I should put for this character. Her original phobia was just of the flying machines in this world, like the sound, motion of flying. She can't stand it. There's reasons for her past, and if you don't know them, I suggest you read her first story. And also, as her stories progressed, it turned out she had a phobia of tentacles, which I came up with, and really, can you blame her? Can you blame any female being a phobia of tentacles? I certainly don't. Just spend a few times on the internet, the dark side of the internet. You'll see what I mean. But moving on from that, I have to talk about just how this character has grown over the years and just what she means to me to be writing. I've found that she's got a lot of fans. People like her for her personality, the setting, the story, or they just think she's cute or awesome or badass, all those things. And that makes me want to continue writing for her because it tells me that there is something I'm doing that's working. I'm doing something right out there. And that is so rewarding for an author or a creator to hear about their character. To know that someone out there really loves your character and wants to see more of them, wants to experience more of them, and devote some time to drawing them or writing about them themselves. I should probably talk a bit more about what her job really is. And for those of you who don't know, or you can't guess by the title, it is called Courier Cat Chronicles. And she is indeed a courier in this post-apocalyptic world. She works for one of the city-states and moves mail, packages, letters, shipments, supplies, whatever you can think of. Anything a courier can transport, that's usually what she's doing, is moving something from one point to another. Which, being a, quote, fun setting, there's all kinds of dangers, so it's definitely more dangerous than being your average postal worker. You don't just have to worry about rabid dogs attacking you. You got to worry about so many other things like raiders, drones, robots, politics within the city, gangs, feuding city-states, all that fun stuff. And all that helps to contribute to these fun story ideas for her. In the end, she is really just a courier working a job who's always getting caught up in things that are bigger than herself, and how she deals with those. Or doesn't deal with those. And really, how is her character going to change and grow during these circumstances? Or is she not going to? Is it going to be something that she just finds to be an everyday part of life? That is always so fun to explore. Another question I get a lot is, how do I come up with the story ideas? Well, coming up with story ideas, that is something that can go in and out with like the tide. Sometimes I come up with an idea just out of nowhere. Sometimes I scratch my head and I just can't think of anything new for her. And other times someone will give me a suggestion and it'll just really click with me and I'll develop a whole story from it. With Kashikoi, I really have to keep in mind her setting, her personality, her job, everything about her world and the character and how such a storyline can mesh with her. Let's cover one more aspect of the character, and that is her crazy hair colors, because they are not her natural hair colors. If you've noticed in the art, her tail is black, but her hair is usually dyed some far out, interesting, fun color. And that is also something that was picked. The original pick for her hair coloring was purple, which fades to turquoise, and that was picked by my wife because she really would love to have hair like that. And I really just think it fits the character and how I think she would sometimes swap hairstyles and coloring because that just fits Kashikoi so well. And it's also why I usually imagine her as being an animation format, just because the bright coloring and such and the futuristic technology, it just meshes so very well. But I think that covers all the basics without me going on to a rant or repeating myself. I hope this helps you to get a better understanding of Kashikoi, and that you've gotten some insight from this, and I will definitely see you next time. Stay awesome out there.